If you search for Buddhism online, the first thing you might find is the phrase, life is suffering. Sounds depressing, doesn't it? It sounds pessimistic, but that's only half the story. To see the full picture, we need to look at the Four Noble Truths, the core teaching of the Buddha. The best way to understand this is by comparing it to modern medical science.
First, we must understand the law of cause and effect. Over 2,500 years ago, it was said, "Of all things that spring from a cause, the Buddha has revealed their cause, and also how they cease to be." This confirms that Buddhism is grounded in logic. It means nothing happens by magic, luck, or divine punishment. Everything happens because of specific causes. If you are suffering, there is a cause. If you want happiness, you must create the cause. The Buddha didn't teach us to pray for miracles. He taught us to master the causes of our own life. This teaching is what we call Dhamma. Dhamma is not a commandment from a god. It is simply the truth of nature. The Buddha did not invent these laws. He discovered them, just as gravity existed before physics defined it. Now, the truths of the universe are infinite, like the stars in the sky. They are too many for one human to learn in a single lifetime. But the Buddha once picked up a handful of leaves in a vast forest and asked, "Which is more, the leaves in my hand or the leaves in the forest?" The forest holds infinite knowledge, but the leaves in his hand represent the essential truth. He chose to teach only what is necessary to free us from suffering. He didn't teach us about the origin of the universe or quantum mechanics, even if they are true. Why? Because knowing those things cannot stop your tears. He selected only the specific truths that solve the problem of human existence, suffering, and the cessation of suffering. Now, let's look at how modern medicine works. Logic tells us if there is a problem, there must be a solution. And if there is a result, there must be a cause. Think of it like a matrix. First, the illness. To solve any problem, we must first accept that it exists. We diagnose the symptoms. Second, the pathogen. To fix the illness, a doctor must find the root cause, like a virus or bacteria. Third, good health. We set a goal. What do we get if the treatment works? We get immunity and freedom from illness. And fourth, the treatment plan. How do we reach that goal? We need a prescription or therapy.
Now, let's apply the Buddha's teaching to this exact chart. These are the Four Noble Truths. Truth number 1, Dukkha, suffering. This is often translated as suffering, but to be precise, we must distinguish between pain and suffering. The Buddha explained this using the metaphor of the two arrows. In life, pain is inevitable. Sickness, old age, loss, and physical discomfort, these are the first arrows shot by nature. We cannot avoid them. But suffering is optional. Suffering is the mental anguish we create about the pain. It is the second arrow we shoot at ourselves by resisting reality. So the first truth is simply acknowledging that life contains this inevitable friction or unsatisfactoriness. But it goes deeper. Even what you call happiness is technically dukkha. Why? Because it doesn't last. It fades away. In ultimate reality, all conditioned things, our bodies,
feelings, and thoughts are in a state of constant change and pressure. Like a house built on shifting sand, they cannot satisfy us permanently.
Truth number 2. Samudaya, the cause of suffering.
Why do we suffer? It's not because of the world, it's because of our reaction to it. In truth number 1, we learned that suffering is not equal to pain. So what converts pain into suffering? This leads us to a crucial equation. Suffering equals pain multiplied by resistance. Pain is the constant reality of life. Resistance is the multiplier. And this resistance is exactly what the Buddha called tanha, or craving. It is the mental struggle against reality. It comes in 3 forms: craving for pleasure, kama tanha, resisting the lack or emptiness of the present; craving for existence, bhava tanha, resisting the ordinary, struggling to be someone; craving for non-existence, vibha tanha, resisting the unpleasant, struggling to push away pain. But why do we crave? Why do we resist the present moment? We resist because of ignorance, or avijja. This doesn't mean stupidity. It means misunderstanding reality. What is reality? The truth is that all things are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and have no self. But this misunderstanding is not just an intellectual mistake. It is deeper than that. It exists at a subconscious level. We suffer because we don't see things as they truly are. We deeply believe things are permanent and controllable, when in fact they are not. This deep-seated illusion is the root cause of our resistance.
Truth number 3. Nirodha, the cessation of suffering.
In our medical matrix, this corresponds to good health, or freedom from illness. The good news is, the Buddha declared that freedom from suffering exists. The equation works both ways. We call this state Nirvana. It is the state of ultimate peace. Looking at the math, if resistance is 0, then suffering becomes 0. When craving ends, suffering ends, not by force, but by understanding. Nirodha literally means the cessation. Even if the pain remains, even if the body is sick or the situation is difficult, if the mind stops resisting, if it accepts the reality completely, the mental torture vanishes. This is the state of Nirodha. It is not the end of existence, it is the end of the struggle. It is the peace of a mind that has stopped fighting against the truth. The first arrow may hit you, but you no longer shoot the second arrow at yourself.
Truth number 4. Magga, the way, or the path leading to the cessation of suffering.
How do we reach that goal? How do we reduce that resistance to 0? We follow the treatment plan. It is a comprehensive training program called the Eightfold Path. The threefold training. To make it practical, we summarize the path into 3 pillars. 1. Sila, morality, living kindly and ethically.
2. Samadhi, mental discipline, training the mind to be aware, focused, and stable.
3. Panna, wisdom, seeing reality clearly. And how do we practice this? We use the middle way. Think of a guitar string. If it's too tight, it snaps. If it's too loose, it won't play. But when it is balanced, it creates music. Now, it is important to understand the middle way doesn't mean being average or just staying halfway between extremes. It means finding the optimal point. Like tuning that guitar string, you aren't looking for a so-so tension. You are looking for the perfect tension. It is the precise point where the sound is clearest and most beautiful. So the middle way is not a compromise. It is the path of perfect harmony and maximum effectiveness. That is the Buddhist way of life.
Some people think Buddhism is just meditation and mindfulness. That is a mistake. Instead, it is a holistic system of living. It integrates your speech, your actions, and your mind into a single path. These three pillars support each other in an upward spiral.
First, Sila brings peace to the mind, creating a safe foundation. Then, Samadhi develops mindfulness and focus, making the mind steady and sharp. This stability allows Panna to see the truth clearly.
But here is the magic. Once Panna arises, it flows back to strengthen your Sila. Why? Because true wisdom is not just knowing facts. It is deeply realizing that all things are interconnected and that nothing exists permanently or independently. When you truly see this connection, the illusion of self versus others fades away. You realize that hurting others is actually hurting yourself. With this understanding, you don't force yourself to be good. You become naturally compassionate. You live kindly with all beings because you understand the reality of life. This deep wisdom purifies your heart, making your Sila effortless and pure. And that purity lifts you higher again. They work together to lift you up. So, is Buddhism pessimistic?
If it's only thought, life is suffering with no solution, yes, that would be pessimistic. But because it provides a method to reach a cure that is realistic and pragmatic.
In fact, each truth comes with a specific task you must perform. For the problem, Dukkha, your task is to comprehend it. Don't run away, understand it. For the cause, Samudaya, your task is to abandon it, let it go. For the cessation, Nirodha, your task is to realize it, make peace a reality. In this state, there's just the experiencing of truth without the I to claim it. And for the path, Magga, your task is to cultivate it, develop it, grow it every single day. Finally, is Buddhism a philosophy? It often looks like a philosophy because it relies on logic, not magic. There is no creator God demanding your faith. Instead, the teaching focuses on human potential. It is based on the belief that you, as a human being, have the power to free yourself from suffering. It is a path of self-improvement with the ultimate goal of simply becoming a better human being. But there is a big difference between philosophy and Buddhism. Philosophy is like reading a menu in a fine restaurant. You can study the ingredients and debate the flavor, but reading the menu will never make you full. The Buddha didn't ask for blind faith. He famously said, EP.2, which means come and see. He encouraged everyone to test his teachings for themselves rather than just accepting them. Buddhism is about eating the meal. It is a system of practice. It demands that you taste the truth yourself. Philosophy happens in your head. Buddhism happens in your experience. You can be a philosopher and still be angry, but a true practitioner uses the teaching to transform that anger into peace. And because it is about practical experience, you don't have to change your identity. Buddhism is not about forced conversion. You can adopt these practices without changing your religion. Whether you are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or atheist, Buddhism encourages understanding and respect. To us, religious labels are not as important as the quality of your heart.
So don't just think about it, do it. Comprehend the suffering. Let go of the cause. Realize the cessation. And develop the path. This is the Buddhist way of life.
But knowing the diagnosis is not the same as taking the cure. You understand the cause of suffering. Now you need the method to end it.
In the final episode, we will explore the fourth noble truth in detail. We will look at the Noble Eightfold Path, the practical framework for living a life of wisdom, balance, and peace. It is the starting point for anyone who wishes to become a practitioner. Join us as we look for the road ahead. Dhammang saranang gacchami